for a moment. I'm sorry that it's a little bit blurred. If you look at it, I want to move on and talk about how even this image is really Gothic. How it's a terribly Gothic image. Let's have a look as we move on. Very Gothic image. It's set in darkness. It's grotesque. The imagery is overdone. It's excessive. It's incredibly grotesque in a number of ways. There are abhumans, non-humans, subhumans, hybrids, people who are part animal, people who are part human. There's an incubus on a nightmare. Now that is a very, very traditionally Gothic figure. A great black horse with an incubus, an evil spirit, riding upon its back. Evil fairies, they're leering at the sleeper. So this idea, this Disney-fied idea, this sanitized and saccharine idea that the fairies were always associated with goodness or benevolence is very wrong indeed. And even if you think about Tinkerbell, Tinkerbell can only hold one emotion at a time. She goes round, she blows up, and she wants to kill Wendy. We all want to kill Wendy. Tinkerbell isn't quite the kind of delicate little sprite that we think. Again, we've got lust, the figure of lust, one of the seven deadly sins, the medieval image of the seven deadly sins, with an animal head who's been breastfed by a mother. There is a monster child at her mother's knee. So really monstrous images. The fairies weren't that far away from what we understand as monsters. And they're still not, as we see. This is a fairy tale called the Juniper Tree. You notice a bit of a woe-begotten young man there. It's not a stock he's wearing around his neck. It's actually a bandage. Here is the evil stepmother. You might wonder what all of the apples are there with the rather obvious head in it. This is what people told their children. It comes originally from Grimm's fairy tales. I just want to give you an idea of how very dark even the fairy tales we tell children are. So I'm going to summarise it. So then you can have the slides if you want them. It's a story, once upon a time. We always know it's a fairy tale that begins once upon a time. There's a woman and she's pouring an apple and she cuts her finger and it falls on snow. And in that instant, she knows that she's pregnant. And she gives birth to a child, but in the whole course of her pregnancy, she eats juniper berries. One hopes they're not in gin, but nonetheless, she eats juniper berries. So when the child is born, he is red. He's red like blood, red like juniper berries. And as is the way with fairy tales, she dies in childbirth. What, of course, does the stereotypical father in a fairy tale do? He doesn't really take much notice. He kind of goes, it's a baby, I'd best find another woman to look after it. So he goes out and he meets a surrogate mother for his son. And what, of course, is she? The evil stepmother. She's the evil stepmother. She has a daughter. She's worried that her child won't inherit when the father dies. Clearly, she's thinking about the father dying. And so she decides to get rid of his son. And she does this. He asks her for an apple, and she chops his head off, because that's what you do in fairy tales. Okay? Mum, can I have an apple? Sit still until I chop your head off. So she chops his head off. And thinking that she's going to get caught, she decides to blame it on her daughter. And so she says to her daughter, when you come in, she actually props her son in a chair. Is this not Gothic? Holding an apple in his hand, and puts a bandage around his neck. And she says to her daughter, when you come in, go to your brother and ask him for the apple he's holding. And the daughter says, oh, right. And she goes, and he's an ignorant boy. He's a wicked boy. She said, so if he doesn't give you the apple, box his ears. And so in comes the daughter, and she says to her brother, give him an apple. And naturally, he doesn't respond, because he's kind of both of them being cut, and his mother chopped his head off. Daughter boxes his ears, and his head falls off. And the stepmother goes, oh no, look what you've done! You wicked girl! She says we have to hide this from his father, not that his father really noticed. So what they do is they chop him up and they make him into a stew. And the family sit down and they eat him. Pretty, because that's what you do, isn't it? You eat your son. His dad hasn't even noticed his son isn't there. Naturally he says, this is the best stew I've ever had, and has 3 helpings of it. The little girl, feeling really guilty about the whole thing, when they've eaten her brother, all of him, she takes his bones and she buries him under the juniper tree. Now remember, the mother died because she's eaten all of the junipers. And when she does this, a beautiful bird flies out of the juniper tree. Up she flies, this bird, and says to the daughter, who has knocked off her brother's head and eaten part of him, "You are such a good girl, I'm going to give you all this." So the daughter is given red dancing shoes, the rubbish father is given a heavy gold chain, and the stepmother is punished. She, excuse me, she says it's very hot in here, and a millstone falls on her head and smashes her to pieces. And at the end, they all go out and have a fantastic meal. Nobody mentioning that they've just indulged in cannibalism, murder, mutilation of a body. But the moral of the story is, all bad deeds get their just rewards. Now, what does this tell us? It's a very, very dark story. But what it tells us is this, that it's didactic, it's moral, it's like Aesop's fables. It's meant to teach people a lesson. Red Riding Hood, don't stray off the path. Don't stray off the path, because if you stray from the straight and narrow, you get eaten by a wolf. In other words, when you get to a certain age, don't go into dark places with men, because they'll eat you, metaphorically, so to speak. And so there's another example of fairy tales being very, very dark. Fairies in folklore are invariably associated with death. It's difficult to actually decipher them from ghosts in many instances. Quite a difficult formula to actually work this. Here are some of the things that are said about the fairies. They're the souls of the dead who weren't good enough to be saved, but not bad enough to be damned. So they're in this kind of limbo. They're naughty people who haven't gone to heaven. They're the spirits of unbaptized children, again associated with death. They're the spirits of special categories of the dead. Those who are waiting to be reincarnated, like the boy who flies out as a bird, whose dad doesn't know it's a bird and takes him out to dinner after he's eaten him. Those who are killed before their time, again the eaten boy. Those who are long dead, the pagans, the extinct races. In fact, in Victorian times, there was a belief that the fairies were kind of pygmies from the Dark Continent. Undead elementals who are prehistoric, they've been here since the world was made. And those are the four elements. There are the sylphs who fly around in the air, the salamanders who sit in the fires, the undines or the nymphs of the water, and the gnomes of the earth. Alexander Pope does a great bit of work with this on satire of this on the lot. But it goes all the way back to classical times. And they share a lot of the same traits as ghosts. Like the dead, they live in subterranean places. Fairies always live underground. You don't send fairy living in the flat. It just doesn't happen. They always live in subterranean places. There are a number of reasons why the fairies are sent underground, different in Celtic fairy tales. Everything they do in the dark. They're nocturnal creatures. They don't like sunlight. Naturally, they live underground. They can be summoned from striking the ground. If you want to summon a fairy, you go into the middle of a fairy ring and you strike the ground 3 times with your stick. Now, they can either come and offer you boom, or you may be the victim of fairy vengeance. It depends. And if you're wearing green, you definitely be the victim of fairy vengeance, because only the fairies can wear green. So if anybody's wearing green here, and you want to go and stand in the middle of a fairy ring and strike the ground 3 times, you'd probably get killed by a fairy. They try to lure mortals into their realms. They do, welcome invariably. They want people to come and make things for them. Shoemakers, top makers, musicians are really susceptible to the fairies. You can make offerings and sacrifices in the same way as you can to the dead, and they're not human. And that's the interesting thing, and this is why when I'm going to move forward into kind of the Victorian period and then to the present day, this idea of them not being human, they're either subhuman or they're abhuman. They're a combination of a human and something else, but they're not human. And in the Victorian period, despite all of that nonsense about the Cottingley fairies being bits of paper on lolly sticks, and people's fascination with the fairies, there was a fascination in the Victorian period with what actually constituted being human. So fairies also become very dark then. Fairies become very dark as well as being obsessed over. Fairies can also be seen as a case of bad mothering, naturally. They're the children of Adam and Lilith. They're called Tusa, Lilith, who was outrageous and wouldn't do as she was told to Adam, she blitzed. She's now the goddess of, I think, the dead, and also commerce, which I find very interesting. So the children of Adam and Eve, I particularly like this, the Haug folk. Adam and Eve, after they had Cain and Abel, and one killed the other, who did he marry to procreate? There's a thought. Adam and Eve had loads of children in these legends after they had Cain and Abel and Seth. And Eve just kept having them. And she was a bad mother, and God came down to check, see how they were all getting on, and he said, your children are a disgrace, look at them, they're filthy, they're not well looked after. Get underground, I can't have people looking at you. And these are house folk. They're Eve's uncared for children. They're the huldra, the hidden people. And if you go to Scandinavia, particularly in the kind of northern parts of Scandinavia, there is a great belief in the huldra. It's a religious belief. So, it takes a bad mother. They're very vengeance. I mentioned this before. People thought when someone got consumption, tuberculosis, which a lot of people did in the 19th century, that it was the fairies who were sucking the goodness out of people. Dark fairies. They used to make young men and young women dance every night, but dance to the point of death. They would take young men and young women to their realm, and the fairies would be beautiful, and they'd all be dancing, and they'd make people dance to the point of death. All kinds of mysterious illnesses. In the Anglo-Saxon period, if you got a stitch in your side, you were supposed to be elf shot. An elf had shot you. So there was a genuine belief that the fairies could actually do physical things. Dark fairies kidnap humans, yes we know. They kidnap children. They take away babies, and they leave changeling brats in their place. So they do have an influence on the world. It is very dark. They represent social anxiety. Now, Victorian period, they're often associated with Lilith. She's a parasitic demon. She gets off on sucking blood of babies. Now, a lot of babies died in the 19th century. There was a huge infant mortality rate. And people would generally say that Lilith had come in the night and could suck the blood out of these babies. She's the opposite of the angel of the house. She is the absolute opposite of the submissive woman. The antithesis of what Victorians believed a woman should be like. She's very transgressive, and you mess with Eve and you're going to die. So proper young women are told, here is one of the social anxieties of the Victorian period. You see this poor man looking a bit worried by this dreadful smoking woman. Look at how his knees are together like this. This is one of the new women. One of these disgraceful women of the 19th century who demanded an education, and they didn't look after their children, and their houses got untidy. And so this is the fear that is represented in these dark, disruptive, transgressive fairy tales that we find in the 19th century. These are the theoretical perspectives, because as well as dressing up as fairies and having fun, we do a lot of really good academic stuff here, and published papers and write books and things like this. There are a number of ways you can look at them. Gender theorists would say that they challenge gender norms, or they either subvert gender norms, or more often, they actually support gender norms. So the idea is they teach little girls how to be good women, and they teach little boys how to be good men, based on gender norms. So Freudian theorists say that if they look at the language of them, they say they're about race. They say it's about eugenics being good breeding. Much darker than that, but I'm not going to go into it now. I can talk to you guys afterwards. So they say that fairies are considered to be inferior races. Marxists say they're a form of primitive storytelling collective. That this is a kind of orature, an oral culture. Fairy tales come about when the people act as a collective and they speak with one voice. Structuralists,